explain to you all how the Electoral College had worked in 2016 in the state of Kentucky. First, I want to ask, who is the first faithless elector? A faithless elector is one who doesn't go along with the majority of their state. They vote how they want to vote. And so in 1796, some man from Pennsylvania became the first faithless elector to the Electoral College. Who was that man? So I'll get back to that. In December 2016, the only 8 Kentucky voters who mattered in a presidential election were these 7 men and 1 woman. Jim Skaggs, David Despondent, Robert Duncan, Michael Carter, Scott Lasley, Walter Reichert, Mary Singleton, Troy Shelton. So those 8 people are the only people that mattered. Those are the only 8 votes of the electoral votes that went to Donald Trump. So Kentucky's a winner-take-all state, like all American states are, except for Nebraska and Maine. And since it's a winner-take-all state, then all of those 8 Kentucky Republican Party selected electors ended up for voting for Donald J. Turnip. But they didn't have to. Samuel Miles is the first faithless elector in America. So Samuel Miles was chosen because of his Federalist leanings. So you would think he would have voted for John Adams, but he didn't. He voted for Thomas Jefferson. So he was the first faithless elector, Samuel Miles. Now, according to the Electoral College, the electors are free to vote any which way they choose. So out of all the 4 million people in Kentucky, only 8 electors voted on behalf of the people of Kentucky. Most Kentuckians couldn't even tell you the name of their circuit court judges, let alone who their presidential electors are. So Walter Reichert, he's an ex-state senator and representative for Kentucky. He's also 89 years old, and he lives in Louisville. Donald won the presidency in 2016 with 304 electoral votes. And one of those electoral votes were Walter Reichert's. But 99% of Kentuckians don't even know who the hell Walter Reichert is. So the rules for how the Electoral College functions is written out in Article 2, Section 1 in the 12th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. For the 2016 presidential election, none of the 131 million votes of Americans were counted in the final tally. The only votes that mattered were the 531 electors of the Electoral College. Donald Turnip won the presidency in 2016 because he got 304 Electoral College votes, and Hillary got 227 Electoral College votes. The national popular vote be damned. So Donald got 304, Hillary got 227. Now, Kentucky actually had an impressive 59% turnout rate in November 2016. 59% when only the primaries for the governor's race generates a 13% turnout rate. 629,000 Kentuckians voted for Hillary Clinton in vain. 1.2 million Kentuckians voted for Donald Turnip. None of the votes of the 1.8 million Kentuckians were counted in the final tally. After most of Kentucky's voters voted for Donald Trump, it's customary for the Electoral College to rubber stamp the popular opinion and give Kentucky's 8 electoral votes to Donald J. Turnip. So the 8 electors, according to the U.S. Constitution, don't have to vote for Donald J. Turnip. They could have voted for Hillary Clinton instead, or they could have voted for Mickey Mouse or Jill Stein or Gary Johnson. Typically, since Kentucky's Republican Party selects the electors, they usually choose those who are very loyal to the Republican Party, so the chances of there being a faithless elector is minimal. But it happens. The makeup of the Electoral College is typically the loyalists of the victorious political party. The state Democrats and Republicans have to choose 8 electors from the Kentucky people to vote for president. The legislature of Kentucky writes the rules to how these electors are chosen. So the people of Kentucky weren't voting for Donald or Hillary. The people of Kentucky voted for the 8 electors which were chosen by the Democrat or Republican Party in exchange that hopefully they'll vote for their Hillary or Donald candidate in December. So once Donald Trump won Kentucky in November 2016, then the Republican Party's choice of 8 electors would vote for president in December 2016. The U.S. Constitution dictates that the electors of the Electoral College have to be regular citizens from Kentucky. Nobody can work in the federal government, including those in charge of federally chartered corporations, are allowed to be electors. So, did that work out for you, Kentucky? I mean, 629,000 Kentuckians voted for Hillary Clinton. A bunch of Kentucky Democrats are going to vote for the Democrat candidate in 2020. Kentucky is a safely Republican state, so to assume that the Democrat, it's going to be wasted votes. You're wasting your votes. So they are literally wasted because those votes go nowhere. At the very least, at least 1.2 million Kentuckians, their votes went to 8 electoral votes. So 1.2 million equals 8. So the they're safe states. I've explained this in other videos. But, so yeah, that's Kentucky. That's Kentucky in a microcosm. That's how the Electoral College works in Kentucky. And most of the states are very similar to that. So.